We're going to come in here a little bit early just to try and make sure the camera is set up okay. So if you guys want to pop in here a couple minutes earlier than 2:30, of course, that is just fine. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to review a couple of the Arsenal M187 scale military Caterpillar equipment kits that I just finished up here earlier this afternoon. Glad to have these done. They were a bit challenging, especially the M105 that you'll see in a minute. Really the I should say the Bulldozer that you're seeing now, the D9, that went together relatively easily. But the DEUCE, that had a bit of its challenges. So we're going to go through, do a basic, standard, normal Diecast Emporium review on those two pieces of kit. And then at the end of that, we're going to open this up to do some more Q&A. Maybe those guys that didn't get a chance to get in here the other day. So if you guys want some questions, make sure that you write them down. And we're going to go through the chat, pull those up at the end of this. So also, while I'm going through the video, I am going to probably be not paying too much attention to the chat while I'm doing the review. But if you guys have questions, be sure to submit them during the video as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you're looking at is the Arsenal M D9. This is the box that it comes in. Of course, it's from smallscalehobbies.com, so check them out if you're not familiar. Right there, smallscalehobbies.com. They do have a brick-and-mortar store in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. If you live close, I highly suggest popping in and saying hi to Greg. Tell him Tommy sent you. There's really no way to tell because all of these Arsenal M kits boxes, at least the ones that I have, are pretty much the same. Just this camouflage type pattern. The only way to know really what's inside is usually there's some writing on it. Like here, for example, it says D9R. But there's no picture. There's no other identifying factor at all on these boxes. It's pretty much the same. All right. So let's move this thing a little bit closer to you guys so you can see it. So the Arsenal M kits are more resin than they are plastic. So also be aware of that. So you have to do a little bit of cutting off the spruce, of course. I always recommend actually using a dull Dremel because you don't want to go all the way through it. It takes a little bit of patience. And obviously some sanding is also going to be required. So be aware of that. But other than that, the assembly process, the directions, it's pretty straightforward. There's no words or anything. Actually, you know what? I can probably just pull out the direction sheet to show you guys what I mean, since we are doing this live. It's a single-sided sheet of paper. Put this back. Hello, guys. I can see the chat now popping up. So this is what the instructional sheet looks like. So over here you have the resin parts list, and this is, obviously there's a number associated with each piece, so you can see. And then it just kind of shows you where they go together on the Dozer. And then on the back, again, same thing. So it's not entirely awful when it comes to directions, but it surely would be a lot more helpful if it did have a step-by-step instructions, especially for people that may not have ever seen a D9 before and don't know where all these pieces go to begin with. But I guess having some instructions is better than having nothing. So that's the instructional sheet. The spruces and such look like this. The resin spruces, this is what they look like. This is what you're left over when you're done building it. Again, so it's a heavier grade material that you can't just use a hobby grade knife with, or at least I would not recommend it, especially the harder parts. So if you have a Dremel or something like that, I would use that because you can get a closer, exact cut to it than hacking away at it with a X-Acto knife or you know, like a razor. So that's what I would recommend. It works well for me. All right, back to the Dozer. So a little bit of history about the real machine because these are kind of, I'm partial to these things in the real world. Military Dozers can go back really to the start of armed conflict, at least when we had, you know, armored vehicles in conflict. Obviously, they played a big role in building runways and things of that nature in World War II. In more current times, these were very popular in Iraq and Afghanistan, particularly in Iraq when it came to leveling insurgent buildings and things of that nature. You would have seen a lot of these D9Rs. Also, the Israeli military, the Israeli Defense Force, IDF, they actually developed an up-armored kit, which you don't see on this Dozer, but it has improved armor all over it, that they actually outsource, and they sell all over the world, and it's very, very effective for them. On the opposite side of things, of course, unfortunately, when Iraq fell, a lot of the, not a lot, but several Dozers fell into ISIS hands, and a lot of them were used as VBIBs, or vehicle-borne explosive devices. And obviously, if you have a big Dozer and you pack enough explosive into it, it's going to level a building, and ISIS has used these effectively. So there is that. So this is the model. We'll turn the spinny portion off so we get a closer look. I really like the visibility perforations on the top portion of the blade. Even in 1/87 scale, that looks really, really good. I sprayed this in Tamiya Desert Sand, so that looks appropriate in modern day. I did all the hydraulic cylinders, obviously, in this gray/silver color. Your air cleaner and exhaust are in black. You have the top portion of the armored portion of the cab, which that is functional. I left it up. Obviously, I can close it if I wanted to. On the back, you have a single shank ripper, which is stationary. It doesn't function, nor does the blade function. Also, the tracks do not roll either. It is a static or stationary model, but it does look really impressive, especially if you have this, which is an Oshkosh HET, or heavy equipment transporter, that you would see toting around these things in the Gulf. So let's put him on the table. Get him on here, and then put our Dozer on. By the way, I did not glue the cab on because I'm not finished with the interior of the Dozer, so we'll put him on here. Put the cab back on. There you go. So it makes a pretty impressive display. The Dozer, I think, runs anywhere between like $50 and $60, somewhere in there. So, you know, not cheap, but not expensive either. Completely reasonable. And if you collect 1/87 scale models, or cap models, or military models, any of those three, I would highly recommend it to your collection. All right, before we do the next model, let's get caught up with some of your chats, your messages here. Navy Guy says he's back, so welcome back. Lewis says, what's your favorite bus? I don't really collect buses, Lewis, so I don't really have a favorite. Ethan says hi, but he's got to go. Okay. Keith says, hey, I love your reviews. I'm from the Dayton area. Well, hello. That's kind of sort of my neck of the woods. Do you have any advice for a young collector? I do. Actually, if you watched my video yesterday, the live video I did yesterday, just for time's sake, go ahead and watch that, because I gave a lot of advice in that video. Can you bring, that one Navy guy says, can you bring out the E1 Heavy Rescue fire truck with the boat? E1 Heavy Rescue fire truck, the 1/64 scale one? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I'll bring that out at the end of the video. All right, so it looks like we're caught up on chat. Let's get to the second model that I want to do in this video before we go to Q&A and show and tell. Save your show and tell requests for when we get done with this, please, if you don't mind. So sticking with the military theme, this is the second Arsenal M kit. This is the M105 DEUCE, which was also made by Caterpillar. There's the box for any of you that want to see it. Again, exact same box, same thing. This one I painted in olive drab because this is what you would have most often seen this particular machine painted in when it was in service. It entered service in the early 90s, and the U.S. military wanted something that was air deployable, it was fast, and it would basically replace the D5 Dozers that the U.S. Army had back in that time period. This was really their answer. It is pretty rare nowadays because I believe they only made like 227 of them, if my research is correct for the contract. DEUCE itself is an acronym, and it stands for Deployable Universal Combat Earth Mover. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. It can be deployed from a C-130, which is a large transport series plane, And this thing could be used to build, entrenching positions. Also could be used to build tank positions. It didn't really have any armaments on it, obviously, because it's an engineering vehicle. And when these things got out of service with the military, a lot of them went up for surplus government auctions. And if you look hard enough, you can even find on the internet that there's a couple of these that ended up at cat dealers that are painted in cat black and yellow. Kind of interesting. And received the cat M105 model number designation. So you can check that out as well. They were in service from 1992 until, I believe, 2009 was when the last one was retired from a National Guard unit. And it was capable of pulling 22,000 pounds because it has, as this model does, it has a winch at the back right here. 6-way blade, as you can see. And it basically had all the functions that a D6 Dozer had. So, kind of a nifty little machine. It is a rubber tracked machine, which allowed it to be used on pavement. And it never really had the up-armored kits that the modern dozers and military defense equipment have. But still in all, a fun little piece of military history and cat history. Trying once again to bring it closer to you. Now that you've seen 360 degrees, bring it up. Again, painted in olive drab by Tamiya. The jerry cans on the side, I just, to give it a little bit of detail, I painted those in tan. You have your air cleaners and stuff in black. On the front, the mirrors are not prototypically correct, but because of the way they are on the spruce, I actually left them a little bit thicker than they would be on the real machine. But overall, it's not a bad-looking dozer. All right, so that will conclude my review of both of these military dozers. For scale reference, I'll put both of them next to each other. Now, let's open up the floor to you guys. So thank you for sticking with me and joining me for Diecast Emporium Live. Let's get some questions and answers in. I will bring out that rescue Navy guy, so stay tuned. I will bring that out. Diecast Mouse says, hi. I'm the guy on Instagram. Tampa's Hot Wheels says, how's everyone doing? I'm doing well. Lucas says he's back. Great. Brandon says, have a good afternoon, guys. All right, Brandon, will you be doing a MBX Mix 5 review? I don't know. There's a couple reasons for that. One, I was not able to get a box from JCar Diecast, so I don't even have a full set of Mix 5 yet. So if he gets some more in stock and I end up getting a Mix 5 case, then yes, I would be more than happy to do a box. Delvin says, hello, good to see you doing a stream again. Well, thank you, I appreciate that. Lewis, I'd like a Diecast Masters garbage truck with... I'm sorry, your messages are hard to read, my friend. Functional and retail, which model is perfect? Diecast Masters doesn't make a garbage truck. I've said that before. FaZe says, is that the military bulldozer? Yes, it is. You must be just joining us. Diecast Metal says, do you plan to buy any more boom lift stuff or lift? I know you did say you don't really do that, but just wondering. I don't plan to, but if a JLG, like 150th scale Norscot thing pops up for a decent price, yeah, I would never say never. Lucas says his town has a severe thunderstorm warning. Well, that's not good. I hope that the storm passes safely and everything's fine. Delvin says, I enjoyed yesterday's stream very much. Hopefully you continue doing these often. Well, if you guys continue to like these and tune in for them and ask me some great questions like you're doing, absolutely I will. All right, so while you guys continue to ask me some questions and, let me get caught up on bringing the rescue out. So give me just a couple minutes. Let me go grab that, and we'll be right back. So you guys can go ahead and watch these. Do you guys want these just static, or you want them going 360? Well, let's just go ahead and put that on. All right, I'll be right back. Let me grab the rescue truck, and then we will continue. All right, we got the rescue truck here. So I don't know if technically this is an E1 because it says it's a Salisbury. So maybe it's a Salisbury with E1 body. I have no idea. Here we go. Again, this is in 1/64 scale by Americom, which is a company that has a lot of the toolings for the old Cold 3 castings, but the detail and value, in my opinion, is nowhere near what the Code 3 stuff is or used to be. By the way, also picked up something that's just as important here when you're doing a live stream. All right, let's continue with the Q&A. Live chat, here we go. All right. HC Diecast Metal says he's starting his channel on September 8th. That's awesome. Good luck. I hope it goes well. Henry Olson says, just wondering, do you get anything from Diecast Masters from them having your videos linked on their website? Yes, a lot of personal satisfaction. Good question. Keith Deardoff just picked up a TWH Oshkosh front mixer. That is awesome. I love that model. I have one in my collection in the 4X concrete livery. Lewis asks, I think that's supposed to be which of the companies makes perfect models and why? Fair question. My opinion, I don't think there is a company out there that makes a perfect model. Every single model has their own issues. Reptilius, have you ever accidentally broken a model during a view? I have, yes. Yeah, more than one occasion. I won't throw any particular model maker under the bus, but yes, I've broken a few different models from various different manufacturers over the years. And those videos obviously never get uploaded to the channel. Brandon B. cracked open the Forester now, just such a nice casting. I'm assuming you're referring to the Matchbox one. I wouldn't know. I don't have one yet, but yes, it looks good on the internet. Phase, can you do a case dozer collection? Well, I only have one case dozer in 1/50th scale, so that wouldn't be a very exciting collection video. I can go get it if you want me to. It's right next to me. Lucas Wiles, if you want to find out where West Branch, Michigan is, looking up on Google Maps, well, obviously. Faye says, was that a military dozer? Yes, it was. Brandon asked me, how many models do you have or estimate? This question was asked to me the other day. Excuse me, in the question and answer video. It fluctuates. It's hard to give you guys an exact number or even really an exact estimate. It's a lot. Let's just say that. It's a lot. Probably way too much. I probably shouldn't have as much as I do. But it's a lot. All right, let me go get that case dozer while you guys are sending in more questions or suggestions, and I'll be right back. First off, another local brew plug. Here we go. All right, be right back. All right, fire truck is returning to quarters. Or I should say the rescue is returning to quarters. All right, here's the case bulldozer that I have. My opinion, it's nothing that great. Entry-level model, it's the Case 2050M XLT, and rubber tracks, very little detail. I actually recently did a review of this on the channel, I believe, so you can go ahead and look that up. Just type in Diecast Emporium Case Bulldozer. Should pop right up. Blade goes up, blade goes down, very little, if any, tilt. There you go. That's the functionality of it. All right, back to live chat. Delvin asks, what was the hardest model to get in your collection? That's a great question. There's been a few over the years that were hard to get, but the one that stands out for sure was the Norscot Bronze D11T. For whatever reason, that model proved impossible for me to track down and find. Honestly, that took longer and more effort and was more frustrating than the hunt for the CCM 390, which was also a very difficult model for me to find. But in terms of actual duration and difficulty, that was by far the hardest one to find. I found one won it on eBay, and then when it was delivered to me, of course, it didn't say it in the listing, but the twin exhaust stacks were missing in it. I was heartbroken, obviously. And then I think it was less than a year later. This all happened within like a 12 to 15 month period. Then a year later, I found another one after not being able to find a single one for like 8 to 10 years. So that was quite the journey. Okay. Lucas says, and I just finished building a Walther's Cornerstone sawmill building set. Awesome. Those kits are very, very fun to build. Actually, I just picked up a Walther's kit myself the other day because obviously I had to. Have it right here. So I'll be working on this one probably sooner rather than later. Now you see why I had to. So it's the Tommy's Toys and Games Hobby Shop. Yeah, that was a must. All right, let's continue on. Phase, do you have a Cat D6? I have a million Cat D6s in various different scales. I have a small HO scale one somewhere. Yeah, I have a small HO scale one sitting over here if you want to see a small one. Nope, that's a D5. I lied. But I do have a ton of 1/50th scale D6s if you really want to see one. I'll bring one out. All right. Let's see here. Mason says, hi. Bill. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Do you have any of the Norscot military models? I have all of the military Norscot models. Both the 4 that were released in the Jungle Military Camouflage, and then the 6 that were released about 6 years later in the Desert Tan. I could bring one of those out if you'd like to see one. Mason says, hi. FaZe asked, do I have any Velcro excavators? No, as of now, I do not have any of the Velcro excavators. If you'd like to see a Velcro excavator reviewed on this channel, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Zelda, how are you diecast metal? Did I miss anything? Well, if you're asking me, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you? HC diecast metal. I have really rare JLG models that will be surfacing September 8th. Okay, cool. Hi, Michael C. asks. Hi, Michael. Hi, good afternoon. I'm building in 1/43 and 1/50th scale, trying to find houses and construction buildings. Okay. Good question. My suggestion for you is to get on eBay and Amazon and search O gauge, as in the letter O and then GAUGE, O gauge buildings, because O gauge is 1/48 scale, and that is a very popular model railroading scale, and they have a ton of buildings in 1/48 scale that'll fit right in for what you're looking for. Matter of fact, they have buildings under construction, skyscrapers under construction, so check them out. You're sure to spend a lot of money, and you will hate me, or your wife will hate me. Phase, my favorite construction tractor is a Cat scraper. Scrapers are cool. How many trucks and excavators you have? I don't have 1 million, but I have a lot. Zelda asks, how are you, Diecast Emporium? I'm doing great, thank you. Delvin asks, I recently saw a 1/87 scale 3D printed armored police skid steer. Yep, I have that in my collection. I've done a review on it if you would like to look up that video. Lucas, and do you have the sawmill set? No, I do not have the sawmill set. And you should get a Bobcat 320 mini skid steer model. Phase, do you have Cat scrapers? Because I am new to this channel. Yes, I have a ton of Cat scrapers. Would you like to see one? Mason says, I want to know something. Okay, go ahead and ask it, Mason. That's what these Q&A sessions are for. So go ahead and ask it. Within reason, of course. So let me go ahead and pull out, while I'm thinking about it, I'll pull out one of the scrapers for him. Just because I have the display case right next to me, unless you want something specifically 1/50 scale, I'll pull out a 1/87 scale one. Just because obviously it's right next to me and it's a little bit easier to do. How about this? Here's a treat for you. Here's a super high-end cat scraper in 1/87 scale. Just for you. So this is the CCM Cat 633E, one of the original 12 brass models that CCM did. Another great video that I did, if you guys have not seen that, I would highly encourage it, is the story behind the original CCM 12 and how that really started everything for them. So you guys can look that up on my channel if you want to see it. All right. Oh, man, I missed a few. Okay. Zelda, did I miss something, Diecast Emporium? Well, you missed a lot, but that's okay. That's all right. You can go back and watch the video. Henry says, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Diecast Masters Cat 6060? Well, I haven't seen it in person yet, but everything I've seen so far, I'm pretty impressed with it. I like the way that tracks are designed and how they look. I like the functionality on it. The price is a little high, but that can be attributed to a couple different things. The increase in shipping costs and the increase in the cost of raw materials. So I'm not really all that surprised. They are going to be very impressive and very large models, even in HO scale, and I think the collector community as a whole is going to really, really take to them and like them a lot. All right. Let's see. What is the best hobby shop to get most vehicles and buildings? Lucas asks. Well, the internet isn't a hobby shop, but that's the best answer. What's the best hobby shop to get? I don't know, because if this was 20 years ago, I could list 15, 20 of them, but everything's going to the internet now, so yeah. Reptilis asked, have you checked out Americom's construction models 1/64 scale? I have, and they're recastings of Norscott's 150 scale models, and I'm not impressed with them at all. Plus, they do not have a license for CAT, so all their stuff says K-Cool on them. Okay. Do you have any Ford Super Duties with service beds on them? Ford Super Duties with service beds on them. I don't think so. Mason, how many trucks do you have? I have a lot of stuff, Mason. Delvin asks, can you see the 3D printed police skid steer, please, if that's not too much trouble? Of course it's not too much trouble. Let me go ahead and grab it for you. So this is called the Rook. It is based on a Caterpillar compact multi-terrain loader, pardon my arm. And it is made primarily for SWAT teams and government agencies and such. Brought out a couple dudes that I have to go with it. These actually came with the casting that I bought on eBay. One of the guys doesn't want to cooperate. Apparently he doesn't work on Sundays. Either does this guy. Just to give you kind of a look. Painted it in Tamiya Law Enforcement Black, I think is the color. I don't remember, but it looks really sick. All right, this guy's not working today. Obviously, he works for the government. Anyway, nothing's functional, but I did it in NYPD livery to go with my ESU fleet and HO scale. It's I'm not sure how well it's going to come across on screen being that far away, and it's all black, but the detail in the casting looks awesome. So I would recommend picking one up for sure. All right, let's get back to some questions. Now that I've sacked and fired the other dude who's useless. All right, live chat here. Okay. HC Diecast Metal, do you know Maryland Construction Diecast? I don't know him personally, but we have corresponded over the computer a few times, obviously. Seems like a good dude, has a impressive collection and a wealth of knowledge. Lucas Wiles, may I send a picture of my Walther's Cornerstone sawmill? Of course you can. DM me on Instagram. Zelda Diecast Racing, do they sell in-store? What specifically are you asking? Do they sell in-store? Phase, do you have any pickup trucks? Yes, I have some pickup trucks. Lewis, can you Ray S in HO a scale Amtrak Pacifico? Sorry, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're asking. Zelda, yes, that's 6060. Can we buy that over eBay? You will be able to buy it over eBay or Amazon when it's available. It's not out yet. Delvin, looks cool. I will definitely be adding that to my collection. Henry, I know that I received an email from Diecast Masters with a pre-order link for 171. It's not out yet. All right. This hobby is quite expensive. How do you finance all of it in addition to everyday life costs? Okay, that's a great question. Great question. I believe your name is, what is it? EO? Sorry if I'm killing your name, but thanks for asking and thanks for watching. So I'm very fortunate to have a very good day job and also the YouTube channel as my secondary job. But I guess what really helps is the fact that I'm single. That kind of goes without saying. I live by myself, so I don't have anybody else to take care of or answer to other than myself. So it is a very expensive hobby, yes, but if you budget, if you're smart about what you buy, when you buy it, where you get it from, and how much you buy, you can do it. And again, I've been collecting for 30 years now, so it's not like all of this happened overnight, which I think a lot of people have an issue grasping that concept. So this collection has been amassed over the better part of 3 decades. So if you have a bill budget, if you have an everyday living stipend, expenses, what you need to live by, put a little money away, of course, and then have a little bit of play money, you can do it. And again, I've been very fortunate enough to have a job that, or a career, I should say, that allows me to do just that. So I'm very fortunate and very lucky. Okay, enough rambling about that, but that's a fantastic question. Henry, after his release, it would likely be, yes. Okay, Diecast Emporium, can we buy that excavator over, okay, yes. Although I will send a link to the set if that's okay. Okay. Really enjoy your channel, and could you tell me if you have any CCM models coming up? That's from Roger Law. Excuse me. Are you asking if I have any CCM reviews coming up? Yes, I will be reviewing the CCM Brass 914 wheel loader that I posted on my Instagram page just a couple days ago. I will be reviewing that shortly, so stay tuned for that. Phased, do you work construction in real life? No, I do not. And I like to keep my personal life personal. So, yeah. All right. I think we're caught up on questions. If you guys want to get in a few more questions here, we'll kind of go till about, I think the 45-minute mark was pretty good. That's where we went to before. And then we'll end the video. So you guys have been great. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. All right. Another one here. Tommy, please bring the CCM 6090. I'm not bringing that downstairs. Sorry. Don't mean to disappoint, but I am not doing that. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, the review area here is in my basement. I have a finished basement, which is where I keep the majority of my stock of models. All of the CCM stuff, I should specify, all the CCM 148 scale stuff, the big stuff, is upstairs in a very large, very nice display case. The 187 scale brass CCM stuff is down here in the model room. All right. Yeah, so if you guys want to see anything else, get it in here. We'll go for another 10 minutes or so. Still have half a beer left. We can't have that. So again, appreciate you guys asking these questions. I hope that I've been able to answer them to the best of my ability and haven't disappointed too many people here. But the fact that there are 17 people watching this live stream, to me, is now 18 people. Just like that is very impressive. Very cool. You guys are the best. I have the best viewers of any channel on YouTube. I don't care about channels that have 1 million or 10 million subscribers. I could care less. I have the best viewers anywhere on YouTube, hands down. All right. Zelda says, thanks for sharing your diecast. I appreciate it. Nice collection. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. Zelda is saying I have 70 saved up. So I guess I'll elaborate that a little bit more while I wait for more questions to come in. The younger viewers that are watching, you guys can do this too. I mean, I was paying for models myself by the time I was 7 years old. So obviously I know it's not really realistic to say go out and get a paper route in today's day and age, but you can do things. You can cut people's lawns. You can take up side jobs. A lot of people think that my collection was handed to me. That could not be further from the truth. I have worked my ASS off for everything in life that I own, starting from a very, very young age. And when Christmas came around, having a paper route and you're 6, 7 years old, man, those tips were great. I would bank easily $500-$600 for the month of December when the collection period came around just in tips. And that was big, big, big money. So I always recommend find things you can do. If you can babysit, go cut people's lawns, wash people's cars. There is a way, and just save, save, save. For those that are a little bit older, find things to invest in. I was lucky enough to invest in Amazon and some other things. So there is a way to do things. So just work hard. Nothing is going to be handed to you. If you are, like myself, and a very unlucky individual, work hard for everything. Don't wait for the world to be handed to you. Okay, back to the questions. Do you have any logging equipment? I do. I do have some logging equipment in various scales. I'll bring out an HO scale skidder because it's right here, just to have something on the table. Here's a 525 cat skidder from Shapeways that I recently finished. All right. This channel is to go when you want model collecting. Thank you, Lucas. I appreciate that. Henry said he's always mowing lawns. Awesome. Good for you. Go out and... Also, another thing. Go out and advertise yourself, man. It pays to knock on people's doors and just ask. You never know. Like, hey, I just finished your neighbor's lawn. I see that yours is a little high. Would you like me to do it for you? Same thing if you live in a state that gets a lot of snow. Man, when we get older, I'm 31, and I hate shoveling snow, man. My back hurts. I've gotten hurt a time or two over my life. I hate doing physical labor. I'm almost allergic to it. So if a young kid came up to my door and said, hey, I'll shovel your lawn for $20, have at it. All right. I work my butt off for these models. I'm 12. Good for you. I'm 17, and I do that. Good for you as well. Genuinely, I mean that. Roger Law says, I operate the big machines to buy the little ones. My man. Good for you, Roger. BC Digger, did your 375 by CCM have lots of issues? Okay. Luckily, no. None of my 375s from CCM did have any issues, but the 375s as a whole, that entire production run, they are notorious for having problems with them, unfortunately. And, yeah, they're... Particularly the MEs by 375s had a lot of issues with them. Obviously, CCM is aware of the problems. Apparently, the issue, as I have been told, with the mass excavating boom being incorrect, that was too far along in the production and planning for it to be corrected by the time it went into production. So, again, there's issues with every model from every single different model manufacturer. So all those that want to hate on CCM or hate on a particular model manufacturer, guys, nothing is perfect. Things happen. If you don't like the model, don't buy it. Do you have any tree cutters? Kind of. I have a HO scale. Or tree cutters. You mean feather bunchers? Yeah. Lucas saying he has to go. All right. Have a good day. Diecast Emporium, would you mind asking personally what you do for a living? Actually, I do. I don't like exposing my personal life, so I appreciate the question, but I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep my personal life personal. Sergio, I usually get my hauls every week from Hobby Lobby 5 minutes away from me, and they pretty much have new stuff every time I come. Yeah, Hobby Lobby's all right. I mean, they're a Greenlight collectibles distributor, so they have some Greenlight 1/64 scale stuff. Obviously, they carry a lot of 1/25th scale AMT model kits, things of that nature. So they're a cool place to go every once in a while. I have one here locally that I periodically show up in. Try and throw some money away at. I honestly find them more often than not to be a little bit overpriced. So, and now that they don't, at least mine doesn't have that 40% off coupon, I typically don't go there anymore. Which is the biggest model you have? Probably either the Viertken Surface Miner or the 1475 or the 7495 Cat Rope Shovel. BC Diggerman asks, do you think the CCM Cat 350L will come out this year? I don't know what's going on with the CCM 350L. I have heard varying degrees of stories with that. I've heard that it's not going to be made at all. I've heard that it will be delayed until they finish doing the, what is it, the 988s and then the whatever scrapers they're going to do. I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say no. I don't think it's coming out this year, but it could surprise me. I would not bank on it, though. Zelda says, thank you for the live stream. Gotta go. See you. All right, take care. Thanks for joining us. Let me go ahead and grab that Feller Buncher real quick, which is a custom model. So this is a Norscot Cat 320 DL in 187 scale that has a 3D printed cab guard and a 3D printed Feller Buncher head thingy on it, which is pretty much, besides the John Deere 150th scale stuff, the only Feller Buncher I had. I wish Cat would do one in 150th scale, because that is one of the things that is missing from their 150th scale lineup. Now, obviously, Cat has gotten out of the forestry equipment game, but that doesn't mean that CCM, for example, couldn't do, a classic version of one. I think that would be awesome. Okay. What scale do you think you have the most models in? A year ago, or probably 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say 150th scale. Now I'd say probably 187 scale. Lucas says, now I must go on my daily model shopping spree. All right, have fun. Don't spend too much money. All right, we got time for a couple more questions, so go ahead and get them in. Coming up on 45 minutes. Thank you guys again so much. Hope you guys have liked this and shared it, all that fun YouTube stuff. BC Diggerman has more on the 350L situation. He says, I've heard that the tooling for the 350L was damaged and had to be re-engineered. Yeah, I heard something about that too. It depends on who you talk to. I mean, there's always a different story with, pre-orders and all that kind of stuff. So I typically don't like to speculate unless I have straight from the source information. And as far as I have been told, and I talked to Gary at CCM, I have not been told much about the 350L. So I'm not going to speculate or say anything. The only thing that Gary has told me with regards to any new releases with the CCM Cat stuff is that stuff is coming, but because of the shipping and logistical nightmare that everybody has to deal with, nobody could really tell me anything because they don't know anything. So again, not really fair to speculate. Norscot 320CL, any comment on that model? Yeah, it's a total disaster. You can watch my video on that. What would you recommend to buy with a budget of $150? Good Lord. You can buy a lot with $150 in this hobby, actually. It depends on, that's from HC Diecast Metal. It really depends on what you want to buy. Like, if you're into construction, if you're into fire, if you're into over-the-road trucks, you got to narrow that down for me to give you a suggestion. Sergio, what is your least favorite model in your collection? The Norscot 320Z, actually. Henry, so far my 187 scale collection consists of Diecast Masters Cat models. Are there any other good manufacturers for HO Caterpillar? Yeah, CCM. Roll number, class XLB, yeah. What is your most costlier model? What is my most expensive model I've ever bought? God, what is my most expensive model I've ever bought? There's a few that stand out, but probably the rope shovel. $74.95. I paid way more than I should have because I had to have it. Sarah says, I love diecast trucks. Wonderful. Thanks for tuning in. I love those too. Roger says, keep up the good work, and thanks for the live stream. All right, guys, I think that's a good place to stop the video. Thank you guys again for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I think we'll probably pick this up and do another one of these, I don't know, maybe in a couple weeks, maybe sooner. Depends on if you guys want to do it. So hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care and be safe. I'll see you in the next Diecast Emporium review.